What if I told you that the book of Revelation, often dismissed as cryptic or overly symbolic, contains prophecies so startling they could make your heart race? Yes, we're talking about warnings of chaos, unimaginable events, and a glimpse into humanity's ultimate fate. But here's the twist: it's not just doom and gloom. These prophecies hold secrets that could unlock a deeper understanding of life, purpose, and what lies beyond. Intrigued? You should be, because this might just change how you see everything. Now, let's be real, Revelation is not for the faint-hearted. From the four horsemen to the mark of the beast, these prophecies have sparked debates, fear, and even fascination for centuries. But here's something many people miss. Hidden within these vivid descriptions are lessons for today, insights that can prepare you not just for eternity but for the battles you face now. So, whether you're a skeptic or a seeker, this isn't just about prophecy, it's about finding answers that hit close to home. And here's the kicker: most people don't realize the power of these prophecies because they've never seen them through the right lens. What if the chaos described wasn't meant to terrify but to awaken? What if every vision was a call to action, a reminder that time is short and choices matter? Stay with me, because as we dive into the 10 scariest prophecies in Revelation, you'll see why they're not just warnings, they're an invitation to transformation. The four horsemen of the apocalypse evoke a haunting yet profound imagery, don't they? Picture this: a white horse, symbolizing conquest, strides forward, carrying the weight of ambition and dominion. This horseman is not merely about territorial expansion, it's a reflection of humanity's relentless pursuit of control, often at a spiritual cost. Think about modern leaders or even ourselves. How often does the drive to achieve blind us to the moral consequences? It's a humbling reminder that unchecked ambition can lead to devastation. Then comes the red horse, a chilling embodiment of war and bloodshed. This isn't just about battles fought on distant lands, it's about the conflicts that arise in our homes, workplaces, and hearts. Have you ever noticed how a small disagreement can escalate into something far bigger, tearing relationships apart? If the red horse teaches us anything, it's that unresolved anger and pride are seeds of destruction. One practical step: learn to seek reconciliation early. As Proverbs says, a gentle answer turns away wrath. Following is the black horse, its scales representing famine and scarcity. Now, this might feel distant for some. After all, you probably aren't experiencing a literal famine. But scarcity shows up in other ways, like emotional or spiritual hunger. Ever feel like you're running on empty, even when everything seems fine on the outside? This horseman warns us of the consequences of neglect, neglecting relationships, our faith, or even our health. Maybe it's time to assess where we're starving without realizing it. Finally, the pale horse emerges, its rider named Death. A stark reminder of our mortality, but also of life's fleeting nature. When was the last time you paused to reflect on what truly matters? This isn't about living in fear, it's about living with purpose. Whether it's spending more time with loved ones or diving deeper into your spiritual journey, the pale horse nudges us to act before time slips away. And as ominous as these horsemen seem, they are just the beginning of the story. The Great Tribulation, just the phrase alone stirs a sense of unease, doesn't it? Imagine a time so filled with trials that it makes even the toughest challenges of today feel like mere inconveniences. It's described as a period of unmatched suffering, but it's more than just calamity, it's a test of faith at its core. Think about moments in your life when everything seemed to go wrong. Did you feel overwhelmed, or did those moments lead you to discover a deeper strength? The tribulation invites us to consider this: faith isn't just a belief, it's a refuge. This period also shines a light on human resilience, but not the kind you find in motivational speeches. It's a resilience born from spiritual surrender. In times of chaos, like when a financial crisis strikes or relationships crumble, many cling to self-reliance. Yet, what if the greatest strength lies in admitting we can't do it alone? Prayer, meditation, or even just a heartfelt conversation with God can be lifelines. One practical step: try journaling your prayers daily. it's amazing how clarity emerges in the midst of chaos. Moreover, the Great Tribulation emphasizes that suffering isn't without purpose. It purifies, reveals, and strengthens. Think of gold refined by fire, it shines brighter after enduring intense heat. Similarly, trials can bring out the best in us if we let them. If you're facing struggles, consider this: what lesson might be hidden in your pain? Sometimes, it's the hardest seasons that prepare us for our greatest victories. But as overwhelming as this prophecy sounds, it's not without hope. The tribulation isn't the end of the story, it's a precursor to redemption. It whispers of a light at the end of a seemingly endless tunnel. And just as a storm gives way to calm skies, so too will this period pave the way for something far greater, something hinted at in the events that follow. Imagine the terrifying scene: 7 angels, each holding a bowl, ready to unleash plagues upon the earth. These aren't random acts of destruction, they are divine judgments, highlighting the consequences of rebellion against God. Picture the first bowl: sores, festering and painful. It's not just physical suffering, it symbolizes the spiritual wounds we inflict on ourselves when we turn away from divine guidance. Have you ever felt the weight of your choices, as if something was painfully off, but you couldn't put your finger on it? Sometimes, our choices lead to consequences we can't escape. The second bowl turns the seas to blood, a chilling image of contamination. This is more than just a prophecy about environmental decay, it's a reflection of the moral corruption that seeps into every corner of life. Have you noticed how small compromises, over time, can lead to a toxic environment, whether at work, in relationships, or in your own mind? One small lie leads to another, and before you know it, the clean waters of your life are tainted. The lesson here is clear: guard your integrity fiercely. It's not a small thing. As the third bowl pours forth, the rivers and springs of water are turned to blood. It's a stark warning about the source of our nourishment, our spiritual food. If the foundation of our lives is based on anything other than divine truth, it's like drinking from a poisoned well. Have you ever wondered why things feel empty, even when they should feel full? It's because, sometimes, we feed on the wrong things, on pride, greed, or fleeting pleasures. The third bowl serves as a reminder to choose your sources of nourishment wisely. And then there's the scorching heat of the fourth bowl, a symbol of the unbearable consequences of rejecting God's truth. Imagine being left in the desert, with no shade, no relief. Yet, instead of repenting, people curse God. Isn't it wild how often, in the face of difficulty, we turn inward and away from our source of hope? The message here is hard to ignore: the more we resist divine intervention, the more we suffer. But in the end, as each bowl is poured, it's not about the suffering itself, it's about what we choose to do in the face of it. The mark of the beast: few symbols spark as much curiosity and fear. It's more than a mark, it's a declaration, a choice of allegiance. Imagine a world where accepting this mark grants you access to basic necessities, while refusing it leaves you isolated and vulnerable. Sounds extreme, right? Yet, isn't it similar to the pressures we face today? Society often demands conformity, asking us to sacrifice values for acceptance. This prophecy challenges us to reflect: are we standing firm in our beliefs, or are we bending to the pressures of the world? This mark represents a deeper spiritual separation. It's not just a physical sign but a signal of one's heart condition. Have you ever found yourself in a moral dilemma, where doing what's right costs you something significant? Maybe it's refusing to compromise your faith at work or standing against injustice in your community. The mark of the beast serves as a stark reminder that every choice, big or small, reflects our ultimate allegiance. If you're unsure how to build that kind of unwavering faith, start small: daily prayer, scripture study, or joining a faith-centered group. What's even more striking is the moral trade-off that accepting the mark entails. It offers convenience but at an eternal cost. Isn't it ironic how, even today, shortcuts often seem tempting, yet they lead us further from the peace we truly seek? Think of social media: how many sacrifice authenticity for likes and validation? The mark is a magnified version of this daily battle, convenience versus conviction. The lesson? True fulfillment requires taking the harder, righteous path, even when it's unpopular. But the story doesn't end here. The mark of the beast is a pivotal moment, setting the stage for the ultimate confrontation between good and evil. It forces humanity to choose sides, reminding us that neutrality is not an option in matters of faith. As heavy as this may sound, it's also empowering, because every choice you make today shapes the story you'll tell tomorrow. And that story is heading toward a dramatic turning point. The Battle of Armageddon is the climax of all spiritual warfare, where the forces of good and evil collide in a final, earth-shaking confrontation. Picture this: armies gathered on a vast plain, nations drawn together for what seems to be a decisive victory for darkness. Yet, just when it seems all hope is lost, divine intervention changes everything. It's not just an epic battle scene, it's a profound metaphor for the battles we face in life. How often do we feel outnumbered, as though the odds are stacked against us? Armageddon reminds us that victory isn't about numbers, it's about who fights for us. This battle also speaks to the reality of choosing sides. There's no sitting on the fence here, it's a moment of absolute clarity. Have you ever faced a situation where you had to take a stand, even when it was unpopular? Maybe it was defending someone who couldn't defend themselves or speaking truth when silence would have been easier. Armageddon calls us to examine where we stand in our daily battles. Are we aligning ourselves with what is right, or are we passively letting the current of culture decide for us? But don't miss this: Armageddon isn't just about destruction, it's about ultimate justice. In this climactic moment, Christ triumphs, restoring order to chaos. Think about the injustices you've seen or experienced, situations where it seemed like evil had the upper hand. This battle is a reminder that no wrong goes unaccounted for and no good deed is overlooked. It's a call to trust in a bigger picture, even when the present feels overwhelming. And as the dust settles, this victory sets the stage for what's to come. Armageddon is not the end, it's the beginning of a new chapter. It points us forward, beyond the struggle, to a future where peace and justice reign. And that future starts to take shape in the prophecy of the next event, one that reveals the fall of a symbol we all recognize too well. The fall of Babylon is a dramatic warning against the dangers of greed, corruption, and spiritual defiance. Picture Babylon as a glittering city, full of wealth and indulgence, seemingly invincible. Yet, in an instant, it collapses, an unmistakable symbol of how fleeting materialism can be. Think about modern parallels: how often do we chase possessions, status, or success, only to find them empty? Babylon's fall reminds us that placing our faith in worldly things is like building on sinking sand. Babylon also represents a system of spiritual rebellion, a culture that thrives on idolatry and excess. Have you ever felt the subtle pull of this Babylon in your own life? Maybe it's the pressure to conform to societal standards, even when they go against your values. Or perhaps it's the allure of convenience over commitment, whether in relationships, faith, or work. The fall of this great city serves as a wake-up call: where are you placing your trust? Is it in what is eternal or in what can vanish overnight? What's fascinating is how Babylon's destruction is celebrated in heaven but mourned on earth. This contrast highlights a profound truth: what the world values is often the opposite of what God values. Think about times when standing for truth meant losing favor with others. It's hard, isn't it? But Babylon's fall assures us that choosing eternal rewards over temporary gains is always worth it, no matter how lonely or difficult the road might seem. As Babylon crumbles, the stage is set for ultimate accountability. The fall is not just about judgment, it's about paving the way for a new kind of kingdom, one free from corruption and deceit. And this leads us to the final judgment, where every soul stands before the Creator, moment that defines eternity. The final judgment, just the thought of it can send shivers down the spine, can't it? Imagine every soul standing before the Creator, the weight of eternity hanging in the balance. It's not a moment of negotiation or excuses, it's a moment of truth. Every choice, every action, and every hidden thought comes to light. It's sobering, but also profoundly fair. Have you ever reflected on the idea of accountability, not just to others, but to a higher standard? This moment is the ultimate reckoning, where justice and mercy converge. What makes the final judgment so compelling is its universality. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, this is a day no one escapes. Think of it like an exam you can't cheat on, where preparation is key. But instead of memorizing facts, it's about the heart. How have you lived? Have you loved your neighbor, sought truth, and walked in humility? A practical step. Start aligning your daily actions with eternal values, things like kindness, honesty, and faithfulness. For those who rejected God's grace, the judgment is a sobering reality, leading to separation in the lake of fire. It's a stark reminder that our choices today shape our forever. But for believers, this is a moment of profound hope. Imagine hearing the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Isn't that the ultimate goal? To stand before God, not in fear, but in joy, knowing you've run the race well. That's what makes every sacrifice, every act of faith, worth it. But the story doesn't end with judgment, it flows into renewal. This moment leads directly to the promise of the new heavens and new earth, a vision of eternal peace and harmony. The final judgment isn't just about closure, it's about the beginning of something infinitely greater. The new heavens and new earth are a breathtaking vision of restoration and renewal. Imagine a world where suffering, pain, and death are no more, a place where everything is made new. It's not just a dream, it's the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise. Think about the brokenness we see around us, natural disasters, conflict, personal struggles. Now picture all of that replaced by perfect harmony. Doesn't that stir something deep within you? This prophecy reminds us that no matter how dark things may seem, a glorious future awaits. This renewal isn't just about physical changes, it's about a complete transformation of the human experience. Relationships will be whole, free from misunderstandings and hurt. Work will have purpose without frustration. Have you ever had a moment where everything seemed right, where time seemed to stop, and you felt at peace? Multiply that by infinity, and you'll start to grasp what's being offered. It's a place where humanity finally aligns with its Creator, living in perfect unity. The new heavens and new earth also highlight the beauty of starting fresh. It's a reminder that God doesn't just abandon what's broken, He redeems it. Think about your own life, areas where you felt hopeless or beyond repair. This prophecy is proof that nothing is too far gone for God's renewal. A practical step. Start embracing renewal now, whether it's mending a strained relationship, recommitting to your faith, or simply appreciating the small joys in life. Every act of renewal mirrors the promise of this eternal transformation. And as we look toward this promise, it's impossible to ignore the victory that makes it all possible. Christ's triumph over evil is the cornerstone of this hope. Without it, the new heavens and new earth wouldn't exist. And so, the focus shifts to this ultimate victory, one that assures us of eternal peace and unshakable joy. Christ's victory over evil is the ultimate conclusion to this grand narrative. Imagine a triumphant king, not wielding power through fear but through love and sacrifice. This victory isn't just about defeating an enemy, it's about reclaiming what was lost. Think about your own life, those moments where darkness seemed to have the upper hand. Now imagine someone stepping in, not just to rescue you, but to ensure the darkness never returns. That's the kind of victory we're talking about here, complete and eternal. This triumph is deeply personal. It's not just a story about cosmic battles, it's about you and me. Have you ever felt weighed down by guilt or regret, as though those mistakes defined you? Christ's victory declares otherwise. It says that no sin is too great, no failure too final. Through His sacrifice, we're offered a chance to start over, to live free from the chains of the past. Practical advice. Don't let shame hold you back, embrace forgiveness, both giving and receiving it, as a way to live in the freedom Christ has won for you. And what makes this victory even more incredible is its ripple effect. When Christ conquers evil, it's not just about the end of suffering, it's the beginning of restoration. Imagine the joy of seeing justice for the oppressed, healing for the broken, and peace for the weary. This victory assures us that every tear shed, every injustice endured, will be met with divine restoration. It's a powerful reminder that nothing we go through is wasted. As this victory unfolds, it leads us to the promise of eternal life, life free from pain, filled with purpose, and anchored in God's presence. It's a hope that transforms how we live today, giving us courage to face trials and boldness to embrace our faith. And this hope, this promise of eternal joy, is just the beginning of what's waiting for those who trust in Him. As you've seen, the prophecies in the book of Revelation are far more than ancient warnings. They're a blueprint for understanding the battles we face, the choices we make, and the hope that awaits. But the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it be just another interesting story, or will you allow it to shape your life, your faith, and your future? Imagine how different things could be if you started living with eternity in mind. What steps could you take today to align your actions with your values? Here's a thought: take some time to reflect. Maybe revisit one of these prophecies that resonated with you most. Are there areas where you need to step out in faith, let go of fear, or stand firm against pressures pulling you away from your purpose? And if you're ready to go deeper, I've created something special just for you. The ebook, Christian Journey, Exploring the Bible in the 27 Steps, is packed with practical tools and insights to help you apply these lessons and grow in your spiritual walk. It's not just about learning, it's about transformation. If this resonates with you, check the link pinned in the comments. Dive into the ebook, and let it guide you through the next steps in your faith journey. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Together, we'll continue uncovering the profound truths of the Bible and applying them to life today. Thank you for watching. It's been a privilege to share this journey with you. Now, the next move is yours.